marriage and relationship nuggets. Don't you ever get involved with a man or a woman that does not fear God. Such person will behave, do and undo, and get away with things because they don't fear God. He or she is not accountable to anyone, to any God, to any deity. Those kind of people are fearless in terms of they believe that they can do anything. And such people, you don't get involved with them in a marriage. You see, marriage is an eternal thing. It's an eternal affair. It's a lifetime contract. It's not a time limit situation. It's supposed to be timeless. It's supposed to be for eternity. So when you get married to someone that does not fear God, that person, when they begin to maltreat you, they believe that they are not accountable to nobody. There is nobody, no deity, nothing that is watching over them. There's nobody or nothing that can stop them. They are fearless. And then you may see, when I use the word fearless, you may think that's a very nice word. You like a man to be fearless. But listen, it is good to be fearless like David. He was not fearful of Goliath at all. David saw Goliath as a prey, even though he was so tiny before Goliath. That's not the kind of fearless that such a man or woman would display in a marriage when they don't fear God. Even David feared God. So that fearlessness is not a pure fearlessness. A pure fearlessness comes from the fearful of God. A man that does not believe that God exists will not be fearful of any God. And the Bible says that the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge, according to Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10. It says the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. So a man or a woman that does not fear God does not have knowledge. And the Bible says, seek first knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. So it is from the fear of God that the fearlessness of men and any other thing comes from. Because a man that fears God, a woman that fears God, a man that kneels to God, a woman that kneels to God, we stand before any man, we stand before anything. Even David feared God. That was why he was able to stand to Goliath and conquer Goliath. He was able to tear up lions that came to disturb his father's sheep while he was mending the flock of his father in the wilderness. It was from his fear of God that he was able to attain the fearlessness of men or anything else. David was fearless, but that fearlessness came from the fear he had for God. If David did not have a fear for God, he might not have been able to attain or be able to conquer Goliath. So when you marry a man that does not fear God, does not know God, or a woman that does not fear God or does not know God, and you think that that is a symptom, an exhibition of fearlessness, no, that is an exhibition of evil. That person will become God himself. He or she will see himself as a God in your life. And that is giving them the authority, the mandate to treat you anyhow. And then you begin to run helter-skelter. Who are you going to report them to? who are you going to complain to? A man that does not fear God, that does not believe there is a God, cannot fear even their own father or their own mother. They cannot fear anybody. So you don't have anyone to report them to. So it's better that you marry someone, a man or a woman that fears God. Do not marry a man or a woman that does not fear God. It is going into a relationship or a marriage that is set up to fail. Because you're going to live a miserable life. You're going to end up living a life full of regrets when you pass through that channel to live with a man or a woman that does not fear God. And you will know they don't fear God by the way they relate with you, the way they communicate, the way they behave. You will know that this person doesn't fear God. You will know. They don't go to church. They don't believe in any deity. They don't believe in anything. They are just there, living their life, enjoying their lives. You will know that they don't have anything they look up to up there. No matter how much they may exhibit love to their parents, if you find a man or a woman that does not have a God that he looks up to, that does not fear God, I'm telling you, what you see or the love you may see exhibiting to their parents is a facade, ephemeral, because they cannot even see the God in their parents. Children growing up learn to look up at their parents as a kind of God in their lives. That is why parents were encouraged to behave well, to nurture them, because we are a kind of God to them, and nurture them like God is nurturing us. So when these children grow up, they know the joy and the blessings and the love of God because of the love they feel from their parents. They know that that is how God is also, because God is their heavenly parent. So when you see someone that does not have a God at nothing, if that person grew up without knowing about the love of God, and such a person can grow up with a hardened heart, a heart that cannot really love deeply, that the love is ephemeral, it's just a facade. The love is not deep, it's not real. So that love you feel you're getting from such a man or a woman is not an in-depth love, is not real. They themselves might not even know that it is not real because they didn't have it in the first place. They don't know God. They can't fear God, and they cannot know the love of God. If you don't know someone, you can't know their love for you. And such a person would display a lovelessness in marriage, would display callousness in marriage. And you may end up living a life of pains, burdens, scars in your hearts, and regrets.